Welcome to the Lawson and Gift podcast. Make sure to hit that like button, share the videos, and subscribe. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Let's get to these over-unders.
Yeah, Giff, last week, I tell people don't bet on the over-unders. Don't try to make a business out of this. Chuck the Tuesday Vegas spread picks if you want to try to make real money at this. But last week, I hit my first money pick. First time I betted an over-under when I bet the Redskins Lions under. I do think we have a few more lock unders if you want to play that game.
And with that, let's start on Thanksgiving Day. We got Chicago at Detroit, over under 38.5.
Everything says under. You get Trubisky against Driscoll. Everything says it's going under, but for me, it's going over because this Detroit defense cannot stop anyone. They have been one of the worst defenses, especially the last 5, 6, 7 weeks. A lot of people are going to use excuses for Patricia, more injuries, but the way this defense was constructed just wasn't good enough from the beginning. Not enough speed, no real edge rusher, giving Trey Flowers, Von Miller money when he can't even get it's just pathetic at this point. I do think it goes over. I think Trubisky manages 20 plus, and I think the Lions sprinkle in at least 17. It's going to be close, but it's going over.
And I have to go over as well because I have Detroit winning this game. And I don't think it's going to be a 17-10 game or a 10-3 game or anything like that. Chicago put up 20 on Detroit when they first met earlier this month. I think we see that again. And then I see Detroit scoring about that as well. So that puts it over. But for me, too, the Chicago defense, I still like it. I mean, obviously it's good, but has it really been dominant like we are used to seeing like we saw last year?
No, you're right. You're 100% right. And that's why we love you, Geff. But I think you're getting a little bit too carried away, trying to go a little bit too hipster with Jeff Driscoll winning this game. I mean, I know the Thanksgiving legend. I've seen worse Detroit Lions teams stay in games against dominant Super Bowl contenders. For instance, the Packers day with Favre, even the Aaron the Game Rodgers era, but I don't think that's happening, Geff. Cinderella isn't coming out to dance.
And with that, let's get to Buffalo at Dallas, the over-under 46.
Geff, I'm going under because I do question if the Dallas Cowboys can pound the ball. And I also question, will the Bills actually stay consistent and keep running it? Listen, Dallas doesn't have the most dominant secondary in the world, but me and you both know they play well as a unit, and you really need to keep these fast linebackers. You got to keep pounding them. You got to keep pounding them. You don't want Vander Esch and Smith floating in zones, floating underneath your routes when you're trying to throw little check downs like the Bills do a lot of. I think this has all the makings of under. I don't see Dak exploding for almost 400 yards like he did against Minnesota. This is going under.
Yeah, I got the under as well. I think first you look at this Bills defense, and in recent weeks, especially in that Denver game where they had to stop Phillip Lindsay, I think they have shown that they've gotten better in that regard. I don't think it's going to be as easy for teams to run up the middle on them. Even the Dolphins were able to do that a few weeks ago, but the Bills seem to have corrected that. So if Zeke doesn't get going, I agree with you. I don't see Dak being able to throw against that Bills defense, and Tre'Davious White's playing at the top of his game right now. We know the Bills have a great safety combination with Hyde and Poyer, so good luck for Dak doing that. And then just by default, this Bills offense hasn't done a lot. It does seem like, especially this past game against Denver, it seems like they're going more towards running the football. Devin Singletary keeps playing better, so I think the Bills keep it on the ground. And really, like we just said, I don't think we're going to see a lot of points from either team because of that. And with that, let's get to New Orleans at Atlanta, the over-under 49.
I'm going under because not a lot of science. I just think this is a May game, and I wonder how much production Atlanta's offense puts forth.
Yeah, I mean, especially with Julio Jones banged up. Matt Ryan has been playing terrible. This last week was horrific on his part. So even if New Orleans does have a big game, I really don't expect much from Atlanta. So I got the under in that as well. And with that, we'll get to the Sunday games. Green Bay at the Giants, the over-under 45.5.
This is going over. I'm pretty sure about it. Now, it is a little bit nerve-wracking because you don't even know if Daniel Jones in this Giants offense is guaranteed for 17. But one thing I know is every time this Giants defense plays, someone tears them up. There's people running free in the secondary. You can have a wide variety of options against this defense, and they can't really stop the run as well. I'm going over because of this Giants defense, and Aaron the Game Rodgers better come out possessed. He better come out ready for blood. He better tear through them because if this game, it doesn't mean a lot. Of course, it means a lot for the NFC North race, but this game means a lot because if Green Bay wants to do something special this year, they need momentum. What better way to pick up momentum than against the Giants defense with an offense of theirs that's going to give it to you 2 times?
Yeah, I got the over as well in this game, mainly because Green Bay needs this. Obviously, Minnesota is breathing down their necks, so you definitely want to go and put up points in this game. And like you said, the Giants are the worst defense in football. If Aaron the Game Rodgers doesn't get it done in this game, I seriously think we have to look at the coach with LaFleur, or we're going to have to question if Aaron the Game Rodgers turning 36, if his best years are behind him for good. We're going to have to ask those questions. And then I could see it being this game getting out of hand. You know, the Packers scoring 28 plus, and then the Giants getting 2 garbage touchdowns, maybe 14 points. And then I think that would put it over. And with that, let's get to Washington at Carolina, the over-under 40.
Yeah, Washington's been good for that under all year. But this is going to Carolina, and I think it's going to get over it. Now, how many points do the Redskins generate? You could say 10. I could maybe say 17. It's probably closer to 10, don't you think? Yeah. But I still think Carolina finds a way to inch this over. For the love of Jesus, though, do not bet this.
Yeah, this is definitely a tough one because we don't know how much Carolina is going to explode in this game. They're at home. Washington does tend to stop the run. If anything, that's what they probably do best. So maybe they keep McCaffrey in check a little bit. Maybe Allen struggles a little bit. So I have this going under. And then Washington just makes it even more so because, Haskins, I don't see him moving the football that much. And the Redskins at this point can't even run the football somewhat decently. So I can't see much.
Are you sure about under, though?
I'm pretty sure about this, unless Carolina just goes wild on them.
Aren't you a little bit worried about Washington's defense and their effort level, though? Yeah, that's one area where I'm worried.
A little bit worried, sure. And I just don't know if it's going to be enough to get Carolina into that 30-point margin. And then with the Redskins, like you said, do they even get 10 in this game? Ron Rivera, that defense in Carolina. We'll see. And with that, let's get to San Fran at Baltimore, the over-under 46.
I'm going over because I have Baltimore to win. If San Francisco wants to win this game, doesn't it have to be under? And I don't know where to go with Lamar Jackson right now. You were one of the few people who thought he'd be a viable starter when he was coming out. You had him ranked above almost everyone on your draft board. I don't know where to go with this, and that's where I'm at. All I know is that if this goes over, Baltimore's going to win. They should simply have more explosion. But if this goes under, if this San Fran defense makes it interesting, I really like what San Fran can do.
Well, I got the over as well because, and this is the part of it, the scheduling part, the record part. I don't know if Baltimore needs this game or if they really care. Do they want to get hurt or put forth the maximum effort against another really good team when if they lose, they're still pretty far ahead in their division. So, but because I think Baltimore is going to want to keep this train going, I got this going over. In all signs, I think point to that. You have 2 offenses that are playing really good and 2 defenses, in the secondary, and well, not Baltimore, but up front in that front 7 for Baltimore, and in the secondary for San Fran. I think both these defenses are a little bit vulnerable still. So I have it going over for that reason. But Baltimore could easily come out here and not really care much about this game.
I disagree because, yes, it's not a must-win. It's not an Armada type scenario. But 49ers, they got the Seahawks breathing down their necks. And then if you look at it, the Ravens are only one game back of the Patriots. Do I think they finish with a better record than the Patriots? Probably not, due to the schedule of the Patriots. But the Patriots actually start playing some tougher opponents. For me, I don't want to go to Foxborough. So that gives me a little bit of impetus.
That's fair enough. And with that, let's get to Tennessee at Indy, the over-under 43.5.
Oh, Giff, I think this is going over. I don't trust this Indy defense. I think they're a little bit better against the run than they used to be, but I think Tannehill play action generates points. And then you look at T.Y. Hilton, I think he's able to get deep, have a little bit of vindication from that last performance that you talked about on Instagram. This is going over, pretty sure about it.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me because I honestly don't trust either offense in this game. Beating up on the Jags isn't going to get me excited, or Tennessee beating up on the Chiefs' weak defense, that's not going to get me excited. So I'm going to go under in this game. I think offenses are underwhelming. I think you're a bit high on Tennessee, to be completely honest. Look, Tannehill's looked okay recently, but it's not the second coming. This isn't.
How does this game not finish 24-21?
Two offenses that struggle pretty easily. That's how I see it. Colts, they're how are they going to continue to run the ball with Jonathan Williams? Is that going to be successful? And then in this game too, sure, Derrick Henry might get going, but you obviously see Tannehill slinging it around. I don't see that in this game. And with that, let's get to Philly at Miami, the over-under 45.
If I'm going over, I think Miami is able to generate their 17-20, and I think Philly explodes. We had a few Philly fans commenting that, man, they don't know if they can get over 17 points on Miami. Calm down. I don't think you've seen how depleted this unit is, even though they're trying.
Well, Elshon Jeffrey is going to be in the lineup, and Aguilar is going to be in the lineup this week, even though that's not that big of a deal. He's been pretty bad this year. But I got the under because Philly's defense has still been playing good. They only allowed 17 points against Russell Wilson, and that's that team. This Dolphins team, so is Fitzpatrick going to be playing better than that? I don't think so. I don't see more than 2 touchdowns for Miami at best in this game. Jim Short still has that defense playing good, even though they need some talent. And with that, let's get to Oakland at Kansas City, the over-under 51.5.
You got to go over. Anytime I see Kansas City, I go over. But this might be difficult if the Raiders don't show up. I do think the Raiders show up, so that's the variable I'm looking for the over.
I got to go over too. I definitely think Kansas City holds up their part of this. Obviously, we already saw them torch the Raiders this year already. And you don't even need a run game to torch the Raiders. You just throw it on them. That's what Mahomes does best. And then with the Raiders, it's been disappointing past couple of weeks. You look at that Bengals performance, then you look at this Jets performance. Not sure what to expect from Oakland, but I got to believe that they're going to get back to basics, running the football, play action. So I think they're going to put up points against this weak Chiefs defense. With that, let's get to Tampa at Jacksonville, over-under 48.5.
If I'm going under, and this one I honestly don't have an idea about. How is Jacksonville going to come out and perform? What kind of answer are we going to see? And we know Jacksonville struggled stopping the run, but I don't know how much Bruce is going to stick with Ronald Jones.
It's tough because you got 2 teams that are playing pretty bad right now. So does that equal points because of how bad they're playing? But I got the under as well. 48.5, that's actually a lot for this game.
That is a lot. That's why I went under. It's too much for this game.
Yeah, and Jacksonville's offense has been disappointing. Tampa, if nothing else, probably stops the run better than anything else, so they probably can slow down the Jags offense. And then Winston, with the turnovers, playing in Jacksonville in this game, even though home field for Jacksonville hasn't meant much recently.
No.
But that defense has to have a little bit of life left, you would think. So I think we see turnovers from Winston like usual. And with that, let's get to the Jets at Cincy, over-under 41.
If I'm going under, listen, we always were positive about Darnold, but I'm just not buying into all this hype, Jets making the playoffs. I think they come out, they might put up 20. Cincy maybe puts up 17. I think this goes just a wee bit under. I was originally I had it circled as over, but I just don't trust either of these offenses enough. One's due to lay a dud, right? And
Yeah.
I think Cincinnati might actually win this game. I saw your pick on it. You picked Cincinnati to win, right? From my
Yes.
understanding. And I'm starting to feel that. And I think if Cincinnati wins this, it's going to be under.
Yeah, I got the under as well. And that, firstly, is a good point. The Jets offensively, um, you got to look, is Sam Darnold going to go out here and throw it around and torch them? I don't think so. I can't forget Adam Gase and how he runs this offense. It's not consistent. So I think that's going to be an issue. And then also, since he still has been playing physical up front, Atkins, Hubbard, uh, Dunlap, those guys can still stop the run. So I think Le'Veon Bell is stopped in this game, and I don't think Darnold has a big game either. And then from a Cincy side, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. Their offense has been horrific, and even though I think Andy Dalton's going to do enough to win this game, I don't see it being more than 20 points. So I agree with you on that. So I actually really like the under in that game. With that, let's get to the Rams at Arizona, the over-under 47.
I'm going over. And I think this Rams defense is a little bit vulnerable, but also this Cardinals defense is very, very vulnerable, even though they've been playing better. I think this comes down to a fourth quarter possession game. And we've seen this Arizona offense explode in second halves of the game after they've made adjustments and tired down opposing defenses. I think that's the direction I'm going over.
Yep, I got the over in this as well. Part of it is because I do believe the Rams emotionally, mentally, I think there's some issues going on, and Jalen Ramsey's not helping anything in that matter. You look at Arizona and you look at uh, the upward trajectory for them. I think they're getting better as a football team. They also just had a bye week. I think they're going to get things maybe a little bit more on track. But again, I love the way Kyler Murray's playing. He makes some really great throws, also with his legs too. It's been impressing me. I have to give him credit. And then with the Rams, don't they have to have some life offensively?
Yeah.
Everybody's back, healthy. I mean, eventually they got to put up something.
And the Cardinals aren't pulling out 21-0 on them and putting them in a hole either. So we have to remember that. It's going to be a close game.
And with that, let's get to the Chargers at Denver, the over-under 38.5.
Who the hell knows? Who the hell knows? I'm just going to go over. I don't have any insight on this whatsoever.
I have to go under. I think when you look at their first matchup, it was underwhelming offensively. And I think we see that again. This game's in Denver. We know Vic Fangio has coached up that defense fairly good. In their first meeting, Rivers had turnovers, gave the game away. I don't see how that's going to change. Rivers' struggles aren't going to go away. I think Von Miller gets home to him in this game. And then from a Denver perspective, offensively, that, again, self-explanatory. Allen at quarterback, really no targets beyond Sutton. Noah Fant, okay, everybody got excited because he had a couple of good weeks. I'm not on the Noah Fant bandwagon just yet. So two underwhelming offenses, I think it goes under. And with that, let's get to Cleveland at Pittsburgh, the over-under 40.
I'm going to go under, and here's where I'm at with this game. Do you guys believe Pittsburgh gets over 20 points? I can't buy into that, and that's why I'm going under. And I don't really see the Browns necessarily exploding on a really well-coached Mike Tomlin defense. And I think if these two teams weren't in such question mark positions, I think I would bet the under.
Yeah, I got the under.
Gif, your mic cut off. Your mic cut off real quick. Yeah, Gif's just fixing his mic. Sometimes it cuts off in this program. Okay, Gif. So yeah, you're good. You're Gif. Give your opinion on it.
And for me, the formula points to under as well. And I think Cleveland offensively, they've struggled mightily this year. And you're going against a Pittsburgh defense that, like you said, is well coached. They have really good playmakers on that defensive side. And then Pittsburgh offensively, it's Hodges, No, it's not going to be a lot of points. Like you said, are they even going to get 20? I don't think so. And because of that, I have to go under in this game. And also the weapons on Pittsburgh. Aside from James Washington with Juju out, what are they going to do? There's nowhere to go with the football. And with that, let's go to New England at Houston, the over-under 45. How much does New England want this one?
I'm going over. I think this somehow gets to over. I think New England's offense has to show some life, especially the passing game, not because of Tom Brady, but because of these receivers. I've been so disappointed watching these guys, and I have to hear everyone on TV passively, aggressively attack Tom Brady. Even Brett Favre was blaming Tom Brady. Yet these receivers are not performing. I don't know why people can't analyze receiver or tight end play. I don't think it's all that difficult. I think it's one of the easiest things in professional sports. These dudes are one-on-one. They're isolated, man-to-man, and they're not winning battles, even with perfect throws, even with perfect timing. It's just starting to bother me. I do think it goes over. I also think Deshaun is able to chip enough at this.
Well, this one I have to go under because, first of all, what you mentioned about New England and their offensive struggles, even in a game where the matchup favors the passing game. We know Houston and their issues in the secondary, but with New England, Sanu banged up. And it's basically, you're trying to see how far N'Keal Harry is going to come along this year, trying to force the ball to him. That's, not really working. I know we had a touchdown grab against Dallas, but didn't really do much in between the sticks. And then Edelman, he's good, I think, in the slot when you got other options, but not as your number one. That's not a recipe for success.
Scary.
It is. It's not going to work. And then Houston, really all they can do is throw the football, and New England has one of the best secondaries in football. Even though I love Will Fuller and D-Hop, this is still Bill Belichick. This is that defense. So I have to go under in this game for those reasons. And with that, we'll cap it off with Minnesota at Seattle, the over-under 49.
Yeah, this is a high point spread for me. I understand why, because both teams can generate in the mid-20s very easily. Both have explosion. But I'm going under. I think it's time for the defense to start showing up. And you pick Minnesota to win this game. Well, I'll tell you, if they are going to win this game, this needs to be under. The defense needs to show up. The defense needs to enforce their will, and they actually need to cover people. I'm going under. I also think the Seattle defense is gift. We know the Seattle defense doesn't have tons of talent. Clowney's going to play, though, so that adds an extra dimension, although Minnesota should be able to handle him because there's no one else dangerous up there. But I think Seattle comes in and plays some decent run defense, and that's why it goes under. It's just barely under.
This is tough. And it's tough for me because of this Minnesota defense. And Zimmer, I blame him because right now we should not have to ask questions about that defense. It has enough talent to succeed, especially in the secondary. It's deep, but yet they're struggling. So for that reason, and because Zimmer hasn't figured this out yet, I have to go over in this game. Russell Wilson's playing at the top of his game. His receiving targets just seem to keep getting better each week. And then from a Minnesota side, I think they hold the advantage. I know you think that maybe Seattle slows down Dalvin Cook. I'm not so sure. Minnesota has a week to rest. I think the offensive line gets back on track. Dalvin Cook has a big game, opens up that offense for Minnesota. I like the over in that one.
But this is one reason why you were picking against Minnesota a lot this year, because this defense isn't what it used to be. And they still have the same players. These guys are still talented, but it just comes down to the secondary, particularly the corner position, not making plays on footballs in the air. And a lot of it comes down to Zimmer because sometimes they are a little bit passive. They don't send the A-gap blitz anymore. They don't change up coverages all that much. It gets a little bit stale, especially in the second half. That's why I'm worried.
And with that, make sure to hit that like button, share the videos, and subscribe. Happy Thanksgiving.
Hit the like button.